Nathanius, are you ready for this? We just got out of the back of probably one of the not a game decider, one of the most talked about series of this Challenger division, MCV Grubby. It was incredible, wasn't it?
That was quite a match to be able to watch as well as cast. Just Grubby's knowledge of being able to abuse very small advantages to carry him to a very easy steamroller win was quite enjoyable. But here we are with the next match, guys. Maddles, you want to introduce these players?
I would love to. In the bottom left position, we have the blue Protoss player from Mouse Sports. It's MaNa. And his opponent in the top right, the red Zerg, representing Team Liquid. It's Red. This is going to be a brilliant game. I can tell right now. We've just got off the back of something so incredible that anything now I'm just going to be hyped about. Seriously, I'm ecstatic. I'm shaking. I'm that excited.
Yeah, it's we've definitely coming off of a very, very awesome series. As far as MaNa versus Rhett goes, MaNa is one of those guys. He's gonna Nexus first if he can, and Rhett, well, man, he's the king of drones. He's gonna play as economically as humanly possible. So I feel like we're gonna be definitely in store for a very lengthy series with quite a bit of macro. And I think that's one of the more interesting things, considering both of these players have had a pretty reasonable amount of good results so far, at least in online play in Heart of the Swarm.
Yeah, they definitely have. And of course, Red as well. He's got support of a great team at the moment. Liquid doing really solidly across all of the different WCS events. Of course, Snoot over in NA doing a great job. TLO doing a fantastic job over in Premier League of EU. And that means Red, he's got a good backing with him. He's got a quality team who are going to give him good support. Having a good team, of course, MaNa though as well. Maus have been a real staple of Starcraft for a long time, doing really nice jobs themselves, and they've got a good range of talent throughout their squad as well. So these two got good backing behind them. They're good players, but I agree with you, Nathanius. I think this is going to be a relatively long game.
Yeah, and you know, I feel like at the very least, based on this map, it's one of the more ones that are classically known for macro. Zerg versus Protoss. Actually, you know, recently retired in this season from the latter map pool. Had been in there for quite a while. Been in tournament map pools for a very long time. One of the last remaining veterans of the Wings of Liberty maps. But I feel like MaNa is the kind of player we're probably going to see him go for an opening that involves a Stargate. He spent a lot of time practicing in Korea, actually competed in GSL Code S a few seasons ago. So he's one of the really strong players, especially on the Mouse Sports team. And playing, I've actually had the pleasure to cast him in the Acer Team Story Cup quite a bit as well. Always puts up really good games. So I'm excited to see how this pans out. Scout Probe does get killed off by Liquid Ret, but well, MaNa's going to throw a Cybernex score. Nothing crazy happening just yet. A fast third hatchery is about as much as I expected from our Liquid Zerg.
Yep, it's all going down fairly normal. If you see some kind of Forge Fast expansion build, you always want to be going to take that third relatively quickly. MaNa just wanting a quick pause. He was having a little bit of lag issues, and you never want that, of course. It's something that's frustrating. Red wasn't getting any of it, so it's probably on MaNa's side. Nothing to worry about there. And yeah, I think the Stargate play you mentioned earlier, Nathanis, really quite likely. He does quite favour that sort of opening. Red, he's just going to hold down the D key as long as he possibly can. It's that simple.
Yeah, and until, you know, there's probably not even a D on it anymore. It's just gone. But I feel like, at least with the way that this is set up, we'll probably see Rhett go for the double gas geysers at 5:45 or 6 minutes, so that he can move into his lair tech. Basically, once he saturates his natural expansion and his third. But yeah, nothing really crazy unusual coming out of either of these players so far. Of course, Rhett was one of the first players to really seem like he might have a foreign edge in Heart of the Swarm. Had a pretty good result at the very first MLG, but we haven't really seen too much craziness from him as of late. So WCS Europe is going to be a pretty big opportunity for him as well, moving through the Challenger League, to see if he can get a little bit of that spark he had when Heart of the Swarm first came out.
Yeah, I remember I actually saw Red at the ESET UK Masters Season 1 back in March, at the end of March, where, of course, his teammate Snoot actually took that tournament, and he was doing relatively well there, but still it wasn't that spectacular play that we saw really early on in Heart of the Swarm. Now, for the moment, we've got the Mothership Core on its way out here for MaNa. Now, Nathanius, take a look at this wall off at the front. There's two gaps in that. The Cybernetics Core placement. There's a gap between the Cyber and the Forge and the Cannon in the Cyber Core, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't think he intended that. A bit of a mix-up, possibly. Maybe he hasn't played on this map in quite a while, but I feel like he can actually block the top gap with the gateway at any point if it becomes a real threat to him. And at the same time, he is going to put out a bit of poking with that Stalker. He actually has not thrown down any tech for his 2-base setup, so this is kind of interesting to see out of MaNa. And he's just going to go and put a little bit of pressure here with his Mothership Core, and a probe might be looking to throw on a pylon.
It may do. There's 4 gateways on its way. There's also 4 gas taken, but there's only 3 probes in the gas at the natural geysers, so that's fine. Meanwhile, Rhett, he's up. He's taking his 3rd and 4th gas now. This Mothership Core just going to start easing its way forward a little bit, but not going to be able to do that much at the moment. Meanwhile, the Overlord that was trying to come in towards the natural base is going to be forced back at the moment. So, Lair, timing, just as we would expect. Everything going fine on Red's side. His drone count is just ever getting higher. About to hit the 70 mark with the next 6 once they pop out. And a very early 3rd from MaNa is going to be taken.
Yeah, I feel like what MaNa's doing is the best way to abuse your opponent. You know, it's like, okay, I'm playing versus Rhett. Well, he's not going to all-in me. He's probably going to play very greedily, and he can either decide to go for an all-in, you know, and Rhett's the kind of player that when you play that style a lot, you're very used to people trying to kill you because you're greedy. So MaNa trying to take a little bit more of a direct route of countering it and just going for being greedy himself, getting the robotics facility, you know, no tech at all before 3rd Nexus. It's almost impossible to hold any kind of crazy fast roach timing, and Rhett's going to go for a Spire, which I think is pretty reasonable on this map. There's a lot of airspace, and he's actually getting a 4th hatchery at the 8:30 mark.
Yeah, he is. No, 5th. Yeah, 5 hatcheries are coming down. So he's responding to the fact that he scouted out that this quick 3rd came down with saying, okay, I'll get a Spire and I'll double expand. But MaNa is going to have none of that. He's actually walking past all of his gateway army right next to that hatchery. He did see it, but wasn't even looking there. It was just like, you know what, I'm just going to go and kill the 3rd. And you, having taken that double expansion, are not going to have enough stuff to deal with this. And Red, he doesn't. Currently, he only has 12 Zerglings down on the field. And while he's got 20 more out, these units are going to be able to do an awful lot. There's the Mothership Core there as well, with enough energy for a mastery call if needed. Force fields will block a lot of those drones from being able to get away. This is a really nice timing out of MaNa, and Red is going to take a significant amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, Red might have looked at MaNa and said, okay, he might try to play greedy as me, but I feel like what Red was doing was a little too greedy. Now, he is going for a lot of spine crawlers. He is going to try to basically use these to defend with that static D, and then send out his Mutalisks to go for a bit of a counterattack.
No, Red's going for a Speedling counterattack, but he's pulling a lot back as he sees this push is still coming into the natural. He brought all of his Speedlings over there. He was reliant on these spine crawlers. 10 mutas are on the way, Nathanius, but the spines are just getting destroyed here, and MaNa, he's pushing forward. I don't see Red being able to hold this with these Speedlings alone.
Yeah, once the Mutalisks come out with the Speedling support, he could hold this, but oh my goodness, those Force Fields have been holding these Zerglings off so well. Now it's just the Sentries and the Stalkers versus the Mutalisks. Of course, this isn't Wings of Liberty Beta. You can't just kill Mutas with Sentries, but with the Force Fields keeping the Lings out of commission and the Guardian Shield being put up, he might actually be able to punch through these Mutalisks. This could be game ending here. MaNa continue to force field those Zerglings away, and there's the GG. Game 1 goes to MaNa.